Okay, Lancaster Lemon League Media Day, Bruce Badgley, Andy Herr, and with us is Chris George here for Northern Lebanon. I tell you what, welcome. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having us again.
It's
cool
been
event.
kind of crazy around here today. I mean, it's a lot of coaches, a lot of teams, but I think that's what we want to get out of it, right? I mean, LNP does a great job here, don't they, Chris?
It's great. The second year for this. The kids really look forward to it. They got some food out here, a lot of different media guys, so it's been pretty neat.
Yeah, and so talk a little bit about, your off-season philosophy. I mean, obviously you've got you have guys coming back.
Sure.
You've got to create, some depth in the off-season. I mean, that's probably where coaches are going to create the most depth is through the off-season. Talk a little about, about your off-season philosophy and how that translates into, regular season success.
Yeah, the off season can be huge for any program. It's almost like a second season, I sometimes envy the Section 1, Section 2 teams who, now Cedar Crest has a lot of multi-sport kids, but a lot of those big-time schools, those kids are basketball only, and you can really, you add up the games. Like I saw, Chris down at Navy camp, and Danny was down there, and they're getting 30, 35 games. I mean, it's like a whole nother year for your guys.
Right.
So we try to get there. The tough thing at the smaller schools is that it's cyclical with that kind of stuff. We get a lot of multi-sport kids. Right now, it's a big baseball group, which is good. I encourage these kids to play other sports. We got a lot of football guys, so it's a little more of a challenge these last couple years. But we did our thing. We got the team camp. We did summer league. Tried to get in the gym a little bit. The cool thing is we have some good coaches in these other sports that are doing a great job in the weight room, and hopefully that kind of stuff will translate for us.
How has the off season buy-in? I see on we're BFFs on Twitter, and I see what you're doing all the time, like with open gyms and stuff like that. I mean, how have the either the group that's coming back on varsity or sort of the younger pups really embrace that? Hey, the gym's open.
Sure.
Come get shots if you want them.
Right. It's actually kind of almost like two different groups. The older guys, a lot of them are multi-sport kids, so I got them a lot this summer. And then when the fall hit, didn't see a lot of them. But that's when I got a lot of the baseball kids coming back. The kids that I didn't see a lot this summer, who were gung-ho, travel ball, Legion baseball is really big. So baseball is a challenge. I think every high school coach would say that. But again, I encourage kids to be playing other sports, but it was kind of nice in that the kids I didn't see this summer, I saw a little more in the fall, and vice versa.
What, I guess, taking last year aside, what are some things that you're looking forward from this group to really put forth out on the floor to what obviously everyone hopes is some more wins up at NL? I mean, what are some things that examining last year, whether it's a self-scout or something like that
Right.
you want to implement for this year?
I think for any team, we talk in practice, for any team that wasn't really successful, it's probably the same kind of stuff. Obviously, defense, rebounding, taking care of the ball. For us, a big thing is taking care of the ball. Our guard play, that was the biggest thing we lost the year before with, guys like Wolf and Grimes. We basically had two amazing point guards. I mean, our turnovers with them could be under 5 or 6 a game. It was crazy. And losing that, we had a lot of growing pains last year, against presses and different stuff. So I think the biggest thing for us is taking care of the ball and seeing that growth. We have almost everybody back.
Yeah.
And that year of being on the court is huge, for a lot of these guys, getting to do it and getting to come back again. Even some of the JV guys saw minutes. I mean, you probably saw that last year. Some of our younger guys, weren't in the consistent rotation, but, they got their touch a little bit in there. So, we're hoping that pays off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you talk about kind of bouncing back from that particular season, I mean it's
Sure.
You've got to have some memory loss there. So how
Right.
how do you put that? Everybody saw it. So how do you put that behind you?
Sure.
And really change the culture, quite
Right.
honestly, to one that's going to look ahead to this season.
Right, and we had a good stretch before sort of this group, and I think we have a good group coming up. It's just this little spot right here. Obviously, last year was a challenge, like you said. I think the key is to keep it in context. We had a lot of young guys, and I think if you frame it to the kids like that, just don't focus too much on the negative. Try to focus on growth. If we're just trying to get better every day, better every game, you guys were out at some games. We got better. Our one win was against a team that was in playoffs at that time. I would say of our section's tough. For us, being one of the smaller schools, our section's tough. But I thought last year probably about half our games in the section were competitive into the second half, third quarter, even in the fourth quarter. We have to get better. We obviously want both games to be competitive. Cocalico ran us off the court the first time. Second time around, we stuck around to the fourth. I think you might have been.
I was at both of them, yeah.
LS was pretty tough, but Elko, we were in both those games in the second half. Octorara, we played a little bit better down there. So there was growth there, and I think that's the biggest thing with a younger team is just focusing on that. Just keeping it in context. Quick or short memory, like you said, is huge, especially after a season like that. So
from an X's and O's perspective, any changes that from last year to this year in how you're going to run your offense, maybe to get a little bit more offensive production?
Nope, no changes at all. I'm just kidding. And we're not telling you anyway. No, I think we have pretty good size. Like even our wings and some kids who were guards, Messinger, Klinger, those are guys who are more perimeter guys. We're going to try to maybe get them around the basket a little bit more. Brady Crawl's obviously, a younger kid that, we can run some stuff through him at the high post, low post. So we're going to try to do some things where in the past, probably before last year, and even a little bit last year, it was more about trying to spread you out. Drive and kick, get threes, and I think this team's a little bit better. We're a little more physical now, so I think I'm sure coaches and teams will see like we're going to try to use that physicality to our advantage. Probably a little more screening, a little more getting to the rim, those kind of things. So that's I think for now the slight adjustment that we're going to make. But we do have some younger guards who are quick and some guys who can knock it down. So we don't want to be one dimensional. We'll try to do a little bit of everything.
You mentioned growth. What exactly is growth? What does that look like to maybe the naked eye?
Well, they're taller. They're a year older. We hope they're taller. Sorry. And a little thicker, right? I mean, they're in the weight room, a little bigger. But no, that's a good question. Like, what is growth? And that's the thing where, trying to get these kids
kind of everywhere. It's everything going forward.
To stay positive,
right, sure.
How can we measure some growth? How do we measure it? So, numbers are big. Like having some numbers in your program, having some goals. We've tried to pinpoint a couple things for our team in this first week. We're trying to look at it like we have 3 games in our first week, and then we're off, I think, till we get Cocalico Octorara at the end of our second week. So, we have a little bit of time after those 3 games to sort of assess, adjust if we need to, but we're really trying to focus on that first week. We have 3 games that we think we can be pretty competitive in. And we have some goals, stats-wise, numbers-wise, where taking care of the basketball, taking care of the glass. We're going to really try to focus on improving those numbers. And then we hope the scoreboard will take care of itself. Obviously, X's and O's, we're trying to do some stuff there. But, if we just focus on doing the little things, improving some of those numbers, it should play out on the scoreboard. I mean, that's kind of the idea.
Okay.
What was, and I guess I want to ask this, what was it like? Last year was obviously tough in its own way for a lot of different ways, but what was it like? I mean, I don't think I've been on a team like this where the wins aren't in ample supply. I'll just say, and it's hard and it's tough to come to practice every day when the wins aren't there. I mean, what was that like last year? Were they still getting up? I mean, you just mentioned games were competitive. I mean, that's not for the faint of heart to go through stuff like that and then to keep coming back for it.
Yeah, and I talked to. I'm sure you may have talked to Uffner. He was in a similar. We talk a lot. We're friends off the court. You're going to have seasons like that. You do this long enough. Chris has been around a lot of really good teams. I've had good teams. You're going to be on the other end of it sometimes, and that's okay. Like our job as coaches is also to be like teachers, and it's not just basketball; it's life stuff.
Well, that's right. Life skills. It's not always going to be. You're not always going to be on the top side of stuff.
Right, and even years where we had good teams, sometimes those guys played baseball on a team that wasn't very good or football. So like. You have to figure out how to get something that you're learning from it where it's not just basketball. But overall, I thought the kids came to practice every day and competed. Our 2 seniors were awesome, James Voigt, Colin Wall.
Yeah.
Colin's actually helping us coach a little bit this year.
Okay.
He's just a good character guy. But having kids like that who are just selfless and good guys, they just wanted to keep being in the gym. And neither one of them played a ton as they were younger, so they relished being on the court a lot. But the younger guys, we try to keep it really competitive. I think that was the key. Like, we played a lot of kids, and maybe sometimes too many kids. It's hard to get, in fairness to any of these guys, like when you're not doing well, you've got to open it up and give everybody a shot. But that also means that like you may not be getting the 25, 30 minutes that a normal starter would get. So, when you get in there, it's tough.
Right.
You get a couple shots and hopefully you play well. But I think with that idea of keeping it open and keeping it competitive, I think it makes the kids come to practice going, hey, I got a shot. I got a shot every day. I got to get better.
I'm working for time,
Right.
when I'm out here.
Right. It's not, again, every coach is different. I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong.
Sure.
Maybe the better thing to do is just pick your 8 guys and you just roll them the whole year. But I think that's hard when you're not winning.
Well, it's bad if you're trying to create depth and come
Sure.
back from, a subpar season, right?
Right, for sure.
I want to ask you 2 things. One, basketball, like pure basketball related.
Sure.
What's your opinion on this rule change? What is that going to look like? I'm
good
sure
question.
you have opinions on this, and
Yeah.
like, what do you think that's going to look like? Have you really studied what you can't see yet? Like, what do you think about all that?
I wish I had a stronger opinion on it, I really do. I've kind of gone back and forth. At first I was like, I don't know if I like that. And then, you start thinking about it. Obviously NBA's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Women's college basketball's like that. I think the referees like it. For them, it gives them, it's the flexibility of like, a lot of guys would say like, oh man, we're not going to get as many free throws, it's going to take some of that away. But in a way, if teams are too physical, and let's say the start of the third, in the past, I'm not sure referees would want to go, bang 7, 8, 9 calls in the third, and next thing you know, we're in one-on-one the whole rest of the game.
Right.
Now, hey, you're too physical. All right, maybe we're in the bonus here in the third, but you get a chance to reset that a little bit. So, obviously you're going to have the game situations where you're going to have take fouls
Right.
at the end of the first and second or third quarter as opposed to just halftime now. So that's a thing where I think you're going to see some teams maybe work on that a little bit more. Just to gain an advantage in those little bit of moments. So it's something that, we're going to have to talk the kids through because our kids have no clue. That's for the most part, they're just like,
Yeah, they're just going out there and playing right now. They're not-
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I'm sure I'm not the only coach, but when we practice free throws throughout every practice in the past, we would do one-on-one. Like we would practice one-on-ones for some of our segments. Well, that went out the window, obviously.
Yeah, the strategy will evolve.
Yeah, and the kids were like, what are we now? I'm like, we don't have one-on-one anymore. And they're like, what? Really? You guys got to pay attention to stuff. Like,
Yeah, but and I said it to a couple coaches. I think it's going to help the free throw percentages. I think that it's going to make the kids more relaxed. We talk about the fact that it's going to add 6 to 10 points per game, most likely.
potentially.
So
Yeah.
but it will evolve. I think
Yeah.
in strategy and how coaches want to play around it or with it. So.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. And I know, with the kids not knowing, like I don't think they made the change this summer though.
Some leagues were experimenting, some were just playing straight lace to the book. So
and AAU, which the majority of these kids play now, the starters and stuff, I don't think AAU changed. So for a lot of these kids, I don't think they have any idea how that's going to be different. You're going to see kids probably like be shocked in the first quarter where fifth foul was shooting. What? That wasn't a shooting foul, stuff like that.
I'm going to be. I'm not prepared for it yet. I'm just going to be honest.
Right.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Last thing.
Sure.
I saw pictures yesterday. We had an elementary tournament in a new gym.
Yes.
Please tell me we're not changing the primary gym yet at all.
What if we paint that elementary gym all gold and mustard?
No, I need my snake pit.
You need your snake pit, mustard
Please.
snake pit. Yeah.
Please.
No,
There's too many windows. I don't like it. Like,
yeah, the sun was shining in there too. Yeah, we had some of that. That is not the plan. No, we're going to stay in the high school gym at least for this year. There's actually construction plans to start a new gym probably next, like in the spring.
I know it's coming, but I'm just very hesitant to change. I don't want.
But I don't think we've set the colors on the wall yet. So.
Well, it has to be yellow.
Maybe it'll be chartreuse. I don't know. It could be.
Yeah,
I can't even spell that word. So
yeah, guys with more power and that make more money than me are probably going to make that decision.
Yeah.
I think there's some people in the public that might, I don't know, feel strongly one way or the other, but definitely a home court advantage right now, right? Like,
there ain't no doubt.
Sure is.
Yeah, and if you've been in the gym, not just that, but the acoustics in there, like.
We were talking to Shipper. We were asked him, like, hey, what are some fun gyms? And he mentioned Elko and stuff like that. And he's like, I know you, meaning me, is going to mention Northern Lebanon, and he was like, if we didn't have to travel so far, I would like it because it is so wonky and like it's not normal and it's fun. So
yeah. It's I mean, you could have that place half filled and it's going to sound
right.
Yeah, I mean, I probably said that before, but it's hard in practice, just to like, you know, we're in practice and I'm trying to talk and just it's kind of crazy up there. But it's cool. Like it really, the whole point of high school sports is it should be fun.
Yeah, sure.
For the fans and the kids, and that gym kind of does it. I'm sure something's going to change there with the new gym, but you know that we'll miss that a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice to see gyms with character because so many of them are becoming so sterile now.
Sure.
You know, all these new gyms and there's no history and you know. And,
we loved like the Central Gym. Mannheim was an awesome place to play. Elko was always good for a while. I guess they're going to be changing here soon. So yeah, it's.
Yeah.
You know, it's intimidating when a kid from the other team throws up. Remember that?
Lancaster Catholic. Lancaster Catholic. That was a win.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I'm taking that, a win against Catholic. I'm not.
Right.
I won't forget that. So
Right.
All right. Well, listen, Chris, thanks you so
Yes.
much. Really appreciate everything you do.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for the
Thanks,
support.
Andy.
All right.
Yep.
And we still have more coaches coming at you, so stay tuned.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep.